Hey everybody, welcome back to RV Miles. I'm Jason, and today I want to talk about something that is a challenge for a lot of RVers. Something that a lot of RVers don't think about until it's about time to hit the road. And that's traveling with these bicycles. Bikes can be a great way to get around the campground, to get around a national park, to get around a small town or a big city. Bikes are fantastic, especially if you don't want to bring your truck into town, or you don't want to drive your motorhome into town and you don't want to haul a vehicle behind your motorhome. Bikes can be a great option for RVers. But when they get into it, a lot of RVers get a little flummoxed when they try to figure out how they're going to haul those bikes. The first thing you might think if you're a trailer owner is that, oh, I can put a hitch on the back of my bumper. It's not so simple. Today, we're going to get into all the different ways that you can haul a bike, including our crazy setup. But first, real quick, this video is sponsored by our friends at rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding. They offer great mattresses that fit all the different weird sizes that RV manufacturers make. The RV King and Queen that are a little bit shorter, the weird RV King that is not as wide as a normal King, different bunk sizes, different thicknesses, so you can close a slide or open a cabinet over your mattress if need be. All those different things you can deal with at rvmattress.com. Plus, you can get different firmnesses, and there are mattresses at different price levels as well. They have a 120-night sleep trial, a 10-year warranty. Their mattresses are made in their factory in Arizona and shipped to you wherever in a box that you can actually bring inside your RV and open up. Have you ever tried to push a queen or king mattress into an RV door? It's not the easiest thing. When it's vacuum sealed in a box, it's a little bit easier. rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding is offering 30% off for the month of July. Just head over to rvmattress.com/RV Miles to get your new RV mattress today. That's rvmattress.com/RV Miles for 30% off. Okay, let's start with motorhomes, because motorhome owners tend to have it a little bit easier than everybody else, because motorhomes often come with a receiver hitch on the back of them. And that's so that you can haul a car behind you, or you can put a boat back there, or you can haul bikes or a kayak or whatever it might be. So you want to check the weight rating of that hitch, usually the vertical weight rating, which is different than the horizontal, the towing weight rating of that hitch, the vertical weight rating, and figure out how much weight you can put on it. And then you can figure out what kind of bike rack you can put back there and what kind of weight you can put on it. And the thing to be cautious about, though, is some of those electric bikes can be very, very heavy. I'm going to talk to you about ours in a minute. One thing to think about, though, if you're like a Class B camper van owner and you've got doors back there, is that you're going to need a way to get the bikes away from those doors so you can open them up. So there are swing out bike racks that you can install. They're expensive, but you can install a bike rack that actually does swing out of the way so that you can leave the bikes attached and open up those rear doors on the motorhome. And then, of course, if you're pulling a car behind a motorhome, well, you can mount the bikes to that. You can put them on the roof of it. You can put them on the receiver hitch on the back of it. If it doesn't have a receiver hitch, you can get one installed. And that's great, because then once you get to the campground, you can just take your car off and drive your car into a national park or whatever, and then take your bikes off of that and take them onto all the bike trails in the national park, wherever you might be. A lot of motorhome owners, though, will actually put the bikes inside the RV, which is an option for anybody, I guess. Of course, they're going to be in your way if you need to stop for a travel day or whatever, and you're always going to have to get them out. And they can bang around and beat stuff up, but it's certainly an option for people. You can also get folding bikes, folding regular bikes or folding electric bikes. Some people put them in tote bins, or some motorhomes even have storage bays that are big enough to hold a folding bike, maybe even a full-size bike. So that's motorhomes, but 90% of RV owners are trailer owners. That's not a made-up stat, that's real. And trailers can be a challenge. A lot of people think, well, I can just mount a hitch to this back bumper on my trailer. Well, here's the bumper of our Ibex 20 BHS trailer. And they actually do a good job with this bumper. It is welded to the frame. It is a little bit thicker than the standard tube bumper that's in the back of a lot of trailers, which have a little bit thinner gauge steel. And the reason it is a little bit thicker is because they mount the spare tire to the back of it. But as you can see here, there's a sticker that says, don't mount anything else to this bumper or your warranty is void. And there's a good reason for that. We see lots and lots of issues with people mounting bikes to the back of their bumper. You can get a receiver hitch that has some U-bolts that goes around the bumper. They sell them at Camping World. They sell them at lots of RV stores. When you mount a bike rack to that and put some bikes on it and head down the road, your trailer is bouncing up and down. Those bikes are bouncing up and down, and all that leverage causes way more force than you would imagine. And we see time and time again these bumpers getting ripped off of RVs, the bikes dragging on the ground. It's been a very common problem. You'll see posts of people seeing this in Facebook groups. So it's not really an option. I wouldn't mount anything to your bumper. You could perhaps have a hitch welded on in the back, but that's probably also going to avoid your warranty. So, decide if you have a warranty or not, if that matters to you. But that can be an option. There's still all that leverage. So you have to make sure that it is done just exceedingly well if you do something like that. In general, I just don't recommend putting the bikes on the back of a trailer like that. Another option that people tend to use is the ladder. So here's the ladder on our trailer, and you can see that there's a sticker here that says that it's only rated for 250 pounds, which barely holds me. But that 250 pound rating is actually for a static load, meaning for at the campsite, getting up there, right? Climbing that ladder when the RV isn't in motion. When you put a dynamic load on, you put a bike rack on here, and they do sell bike racks that go onto ladders like this. Again, the amount of force caused by the bouncing up and down the road is way more than 250 pounds. RV dealers say this is one of their biggest repairs. One of the biggest things that causes leaks is people mounting a bunch of stuff to this ladder. Now, I will say we do haul our portable waste tank on this ladder, but it weighs a max of 10 pounds. I wouldn't haul much more than that. If you are going to put bikes on there, I don't think it's going to be anything more than a small child's bike or two, but I don't recommend it. So what else can you do if you're a travel trailer owner? You can put the bikes in the back of your truck, and you don't have to do it with any special stuff like we have here. You can just put them right in the back of the truck. You can get mounts to hold them vertically. You can ratchet strap them in. You can put folding bikes in the back of the truck. You can just lay them back there, whatever you want to do. But putting them in the back of the truck is a seriously good option for a travel trailer owner. Of course, you're going to lose some of the space that you have to store stuff. This is a really good option for electric bike owners. Again, electric bikes can be heavy. So you'll notice on our setup here, we have 3 bikes for our kids and 2 electric bikes for myself and Abby. And our electric bikes are Electric X Premiums, and these things are 80 pounds plus a piece. So what we actually have is a foldable aluminum ramp that allows us to move them out. It actually works really well, and it's really light. You just pull it out, unfold it, and you can use a bungee cord to strap it to your hitch or whatever. I actually don't do that. I just use it as is, and it works fine. Our X Premium bikes are foldable bikes, but we just fold down the handlebars. We don't fold the whole thing in half. The X Premium is a little bit too big to be folding regularly, if I'm honest. The smaller bikes made by Electric, the 3.0, stuff like that, are much more usable for RVers who want to fold them up and put them away. So I wouldn't recommend the X Premium in general, which is a bike that I love because it can go like 120 miles, but I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who wants to fold them on a regular basis. So before I get to this crazy system that we travel with, one other option that I think is probably the best option for most travel trailer owners is to mount bikes above your propane tanks. There are a couple different systems that allow you to get the bikes up into the air above your propane tanks mounted to your tongue jack. So one of them is called the Jacket. It's a terrible name. I think it can only haul up to 2 bikes, but people that use it say it works really well. But what we have used in the past, what we used with our first travel trailer, was something called the Bike Bunk from a company called Stromberg Carlson. And I'll link to it in the description. You can get it on Amazon. And basically you have to mount 2 arms to either side of your tongue, to the frame, and it gives you an elevated receiver. So you can then put any accessories you want up there. You can put a little shelf for a generator up there if you want. Stromberg Carlson also sells a generator mount just for this. Or you can put a bike rack up there. Now, the big mistake that I made was putting a cheap bike rack up there. And it was a real pain to get the bikes on and off of that rack. It was like straps that you had to feed through buckles and all that sort of awful stuff. So I would not recommend getting a cheap bike rack. Get something with plastic ratcheting straps or something that people recommend as really easy loading, because you're gonna have to get up high to get these bikes into this rack. So what I would do is back up my truck, open the tailgate, stand on the back of the truck, have one of the kids or Abby hand me the bikes, and then I would mount them up on the rack. That was the easiest way to do it. And then once they're all mounted, close up the tailgate, hook up the trailer and go. I think the rack that we had also could only hold up to 3 bikes. And I think the Stromberg Carlson bike bunk has a load rating of about 200 pounds. So you want to check the weights of all the stuff that you have. And again, this is not going to be a great option for electric bikes because you have to lift them up high. Now you might notice that most of these options aren't an option for fifth wheel owners. And I'll get to an option for fifth wheel owners in a minute. But last year, when we decided that we wanted to travel the entire Pacific coast from southern Baja California all the way up to Alaska, we bought this travel trailer, sort of our adventure rig, smaller, lighter weight, shorter, with off-road suspension and stuff like that. We knew we wanted to haul bikes around. We wanted to be able to ride beaches. We wanted to be able to go to places like Yosemite and park and just ride our bikes around on the bike path. In Mexico, we used our bikes to ride into town to go to the grocery store and get food and stuff like that. So in order to haul 5 bikes, 2 of them being big, heavy electric bikes, so what we did is we bought this system from Leitner Designs. This is the Leitner ACS forged rack. And what this is sort of like one of those off-road truck racks that allows you to mount sort of off-road accessories to it. And we actually had more on it then than we do now. We had our fuel can mounted to it. We're not running with a generator right now, so we don't need that. We had off-road recovery boards. Right now, all we have mounted to it is these 2 giant storage bins. And these are great because you just open them up like this, and our bike helmets and our bike covers and locks and stuff are all in here. But what this allowed us to do was to mount 3 bikes up high. So these are the kids' bikes. And this was expensive, don't get me wrong, because not only did we have to buy this whole system, which isn't that hard to mount to the truck. I was able to do it, no problem at all. But we also had to buy the actual racks that go on the load bars. So this system gives us load bars up high to mount racks to mount roof racks to. So we use the Yakima High Road rack. I'm going to show you in a second why these are so awesome, but they're $300 a piece on top of the several $1,000s that this rack cost us. But if you don't have the money, you don't want to shell out for a system like this, you can actually get horizontal load bars, just like you'd see on the top of an SUV or something like that, that you can mount to the back of your truck. You can mount it right on the bed rails. So you don't have to have this whole system. You just have a couple load bars, and then you can mount these Yakima High Road mounts or another brand. You can also mount load bars to the roof of your truck. So if you've got a truck topper or something like that, or you've got a fifth wheel, here's my first fifth wheel option. You can actually mount load bars up to the top of your truck, and then you can mount the bikes up on top of there. It works. It's very high up, and you've got to, get into the back of the truck and then get it up there and all that sort of stuff. So there's a couple reasons we went with these Yakima High Road racks. And I will say they don't fit the giant load bars on the Leitner system very well. If you are getting the actual Leitner system, the Leitner bars are very large. It's just at the extent of being possible to put them on there. If you have regular load bars, you should not have a problem. Or if you get one of Yakima's racks, Yakima also makes off-road racks like this. So what's great about these, you'll notice a lot of roof racks when you start shopping for them, you have to remove the front tire of the bike, and then you actually mount the fork and the rear tire to the rack. This system allows you to quickly put the bike up here without having to do all that. So in order for me to get this bike off, all I have to do is undo this ratchet strap that's on the rear tire. And I've got one bike heading one direction and one bike heading the other so that the handlebars don't conflict with each other. And then I unscrew this big knob here all the way out, and I can pull this loop down, and then I can pull the whole bike out like so, and that front loop folds down out of the way. And to put it back in, I just have the bike sit in either of these 2 loops, and I bring this rear loop up and it's held in place, and then I can tighten it up. And what's cool about this is it's very adjustable. You can move it back and forth. You can adjust the sizes for different bikes. And I just have to turn this until it ratchets a little bit. And that's done. And then I put this strap on and that bike is in. And they fit fat tire bikes, which is another option that's kind of hard to find. Not all racks fit fat tire bikes. Now there's one more option I want to talk about for people hauling a trailer with a truck. And that is that you can actually mount a hitch to the front of your truck. This is actually an option for motorhome owners as well, if none of the other options work out for you. You can mount a receiver hitch to the front of your vehicle and actually mount a bike rack to the front of your vehicle. If you've ever seen city buses riding around with bikes on the front of them, it's the same sort of concept. It absolutely works. A lot of people do it, a lot of fifth wheel owners in particular. Couple challenges with this. First of all, of course, it makes your vehicle longer in the front and you have to kind of know where the front of you is, right? But one of the benefits is once you've unhooked your trailer at the campground, you can move that to the back and then be able to haul your bikes around. The other thing is a lot of vehicles have front cameras. And even if you don't think you have a front camera, you might have one that is operating your like adaptive cruise control and your emergency braking, even if it's not something you can see on the dash. This is gonna make those inoperable. And of course, you're gonna get some more bugs on your bikes than you would otherwise get. But it is certainly a way that you can travel with bikes on the front of your vehicle. I would not put bikes on the front of my truck and then cover them, because then you're blocking any airflow that is going into your radiator. But if you leave them uncovered, it is certainly something you can do. Now, one more thing for fifth wheel owners. Fifth wheels often do come with an accessory receiver hitch on the back of them. And if it doesn't come with that, sometimes you can have one put on. You have to be careful about the height of your fifth wheel. If you have a drop frame fifth wheel in the back, like our Sabre was, you wouldn't want to put a bike rack back there because it's going to hit the ground. You don't want to lower that clearance at all. But if you've got a standard clearance fifth wheel on the back, you shouldn't have much of a problem. If it comes with a receiver, you want to get a really good bike rack for the back of the fifth wheel. You are a long way behind the axle of the fifth wheel. There's a lot of bounce that happens back there. And again, like I talked about before, a cheap bike rack can cause lots of problems. There's a lot of weight causing a lot of leverage. There are very few bike racks that actually are warranted to be on the back of a fifth wheel. One company I want to recommend to you is Velociracks. They make excellent bike racks, especially if you've got to travel with 4 or more bikes. They can even hold electric bikes. You can put a lot of weight on the back of these. Of course, the vertical load rating of that hitch is probably not more than 500 pounds, so be very careful about that. But Velociracks make really good racks that hold everything pretty sturdy and aren't gonna bang around too much back there. You still wanna be careful with them, you still wanna watch them. They're expensive, but they're a very good option. So that's my rundown of all the different possible bike options out there, I think. If you have another idea, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to know in the comments how you travel with a bike. And let me know if you have any questions about our setup or whatever you might have. Thanks a lot for being here. Hit the like button if you got something on this video. Subscribe if you want more like it. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.